Europe, May 1940. Germany was in control of the European continent. Britain was surely next. With invasion now seeming imminent, a list was made, which, if invasion had occurred, would have had tragic consequences for those living on the British Isles. Walter Schellenberg. Walter Schellenberg was a German SS functionary during the Nazi era. He was born in Saarbrücken, Prussia, Germany, on 16th of January 1910. His family moved to Luxembourg after France occupied the Saar in 1918 after the First World War triggered an economic crisis in the Weimar Republic. Schellenberg was deeply affected by the economic woes which befell Germany in the wake of the First World War. Schellenberg returned to Germany to attend university, first at the University of Marburg and then, in 1929, at the University of Bonn. He initially studied medicine, but soon switched to law. While in law school, Schellenberg performed some spy work for the SD Sicherheitsdienst. Both Schellenberg and Reinhard Heydrich perceived Great Britain as a country run by Freemasons, Jews, and a small public school-trained elite. During the post-war Nuremberg trials, Schellenberg testified against other Nazis. In the 1949 Ministries trial, he was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment, during which time he wrote his memoirs, The Labyrinth. He was released in 1951 on grounds of ill health, a worsening liver condition, and moved to Switzerland before settling in Verbania Pallanza, Italy. The following year, he died of cancer in Turin. During the German occupation of Paris, Schellenberg was believed to have been a lover of Coco Chanel, who paid for the cost of his funeral when he died penniless. The list is strictly alphabetical. Figures on the list vary with each account, ranging from less than 2,000 to more than 3,000. Many of the names are duplicates, only because the compilers of the list were uncertain of real names, as opposed to aliases. The bulk of the list, 1,840 names, was made up of foreigners. 231 names on the list were women, which, considering the attitudes at the time, was hardly surprising. For context, there were 0 women in Winston Churchill's war cabinet. With a few exceptional women at the time were expected to breed and be housewives. Women who were on the list were there for opposing the war in different national and international committees. These women were on committees because they were wives, sweethearts, mothers and sisters to men who died in the trenches during World War I. Notable women on the list include Virginia Woolf, Viscountess Rhondda, and Eleanor Rathbone. Alongside each name is a date of birth, if known, and a place of residence. An occupation is there, although, of course, this is misleading. You were more likely to be put on the list if your political opinion differed from the authority in Berlin. There were locksmiths, nursery school teachers, racing drivers, even a private detective, but this has little to do with their inclusion on the list. In some cases, we even have telephone numbers. Additionally, factors you believe would be the main factor being added to the list were merely a secondary factor. For example, Paul Robeson features as Negersänger, but it was the man's outspoken communism that offended the Nazi government. His ethnicity and his music, though both objectionable to the Nazis, were secondary. Here are some of the notable names on this list. Lascelles Abercrombie, poet, literary critic, and English language professor. Erroneous listing, as Professor Abercrombie had died in 1938. Richard Ackland, anti-fascist Liberal MP, David Adams, Labour politician, Vivian Adams, Conservative Party politician, Jenny Adamson, Labour politician, Christopher Addison, 1st Viscount Addison, medical doctor and politician, Friedrich Adler, Austrian socialist politician and revolutionary, Henrietta Adler, listed as Nettie Adler, Jewish Liberal politician, Max Aitken, Lord Beaverbrook, Anglo-Canadian business tycoon, listed as Beaverbrock, Leopold Amory, Conservative politician and journalist, Fergus Anderson, 2-time Grand Prix motorcycle road racing world champion. Sir Norman Angell, Labour MP, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1933. Frederick Antal, born Frigyes Antal, later known as Friedrich Antal, a Jewish-Hungarian art historian. John Jacob Astor, 1st Baron Astor of Havre, American-born English newspaper proprietor, politician, sportsman, military officer, and a member of the Astor family. Nancy Astor, Viscountess Astor, American-born English socialite and Conservative MP, listed as Enemy of Germany. Catherine Stewart Murray, Duchess of Atholl, listed as Catherine, Duchess of Atholl, Scottish Unionist Party politician, supporter of Republican Spain, and outspoken opponent of fascism. Clement Attlee, featured twice as Attlee Clement Richard, Major, and as Attlee Clemens, leader, Labour Party. Robert Baden-Powell, founder and leader of Scouting, which the Nazis regarded as a spy organization. Edvard Beneš, president of the Czechoslovak government in exile. J.D. Bernal, scientist and communist. Violet Bonham Carter, anti-fascist liberal politician, referred to as an encirclement lady politician. William Henry Bragg, physicist, chemist, mathematician, sportsman, and Nobel Prize winner. Vera Brittain, feminist writer and pacifist. Fenner Brockway, socialist and politician. Harry Bullock, thought to be a mistake for Guy Henry Bullock, diplomat and Everest mountaineer. Neville Chamberlain, political former Prime Minister, died 9th November 1940. Sidney Chapman, economist and civil servant. Winston Churchill, Prime Minister. Sir Walter Citrine, trade unionist. Martha Knockout, First World War spy. Claude Cockburn, journalist. Seymour Cox, Labour politician. Chapman Cohen, secularist writer and editor. Lionel Leonard Cohen, lawyer. Robert Whaley Cohen, industrialist. G.D.H. Cole, academy. Norman Collins, broadcasting executive. Edward Conzy, Anglo-German scholar. Duff Cooper, Minister of Information. Pierre Colfleet, aka Frank Davison, writer. Marjorie Corbett Ashby, feminist. Noel Coward, high-profile actor and armed forces entertainer who opposed appeasement, connections with MI5. Sir Stafford Cripps, Labour politician. Nancy Cunard, writer, heiress and anti-fascist. Frederick Francis Charles Curtis, architect. Sefton Delmer, journalist. Peter Drucker, author. Anthony Eden, Secretary of State for War. Jacob Epstein, sculptor. Lion Feuchtwanger, German Jewish novelist and playwright. Frank Foley, spy who, as MI6 head of station in pre-war Berlin, rescued thousands of German Jews. E.M. Forster, author. Sigmund Freud, Jewish founder of psychoanalysis, died 23 September 1939. Willie Gallacher MP, trade unionist and communist politician. Charles de Gaulle, Free French leader and general, listed as former French general. Sir Philip Gibbs, journalist and novelist. Victor Gollancz, publisher. J.B.S. Haldane, geneticist, evolutionary biologist and communist. Ernst Hanfstengel, German refugee. Once a financial backer of Hitler, he had fallen from favor and had fled Germany in 1937. Aldous Huxley, author who had emigrated to the US in 1936. Cyril Edwin Joad, educator. Egon Erwin Kisch, Austrian Czechoslovak, Jewish writer and journalist, listed as Egon Erwin Kisch. Alexander Korda, Hungarian-born British producer and film director. George Lansbury rules German emigrant political circles. Harold Lasky, political theorist, economist and author. Megan Lloyd George, politician, daughter of David Lloyd George, who was not on the list. David Lowe, political cartoonist and caricaturist. F.L. Lucas, literary critic, writer and anti-fascist campaigner. Geoffrey Mander, liberal politician, critic of appeasement and crusader on behalf of the League of Nations, manufacturer and art collector. Heinrich Mann, German novelist and anti-fascist. Jan Masaryk, foreign minister of the Czechoslovak government in exile. Jimmy Maxton, pacifist politician. Naomi Mitchison, novelist. Gilbert Murray, classical scholar and activist for the League of Nations. Harold Nicholson as Nicholson, diplomat, author and diarist. Philip Noel Baker, Labour politician. Conrad O'Brien French, SIS/MI6 agent ST36, agent Z3 for Dancy's Z organization. Vic Oliver, British actor and radio comedian, originally from Austria and married to Winston Churchill's daughter Sarah, listed as Olivier Jewish actor. Ignacy Jan Paderewski, pianist, former Prime Minister of Poland. R. Palm Dutt, journalist and theoretician of the Communist Party of Great Britain. Sylvia Pankhurst, suffragist, writer, journalist, and anti-fascist. Nicholas Pevsner, German and later British, architectural historian. Michael Polanyi, British polymath, originally from Hungary. Harry Pollitt, General Secretary of the Communist Party of Great Britain. Thomas Hildebrand Preston, 6th Baronet, diplomat. J.B. Priestley, creator of anti-Nazi popular broadcasts and fiction. Eleanor Rathbone MP, activist for assistance to refugees. Hermann Rauschning, German refugee and once personal friend of Hitler who had turned against him. Douglas Reed, journalist and author. Paul Robeson, African-American singer-actor with strong communist affiliations. Dr. Agnes Maud Royden, suffragist, author, preacher, philosopher, pacifist. Sir Thomas Royden, director and former chairman of Cunard Line, brother of Maud Royden. Bertrand Russell, philosopher, historian and pacifist. Duncan Sandys, conservative politician listed as Duncan Sandys. John Sugrue, foreign correspondent for the News Chronicle. Adolf Schallemak, scientist. Sir Archibald Sinclair, Liberal politician. Robert Smallbones, diplomat who granted visas to 48,000 Jews, recognized in 2010 as a British hero of the Holocaust. Aline Atherton Smith, Quaker. C.P. Snow, physicist and novelist. Stephen Spender, poet, novelist and essayist. Lytton Strachey, died 1932, writer and critic. Sybil Thorndike, actress. Frank Cyril Tiarks, banker, director of the Bank of England, member British Union of Fascists and Anglo-German Fellowship. Gottfried Reinhold Treviranus, politician, former German minister. Lord Vansittart, leadership of British Intelligence Service, chief diplomatic advisor to the Foreign Office. Beatrice Webb, socialist and economist. Dr. Chaim Weizmann, Russian-born British lecturer and Zionist leader who had worked in Germany, later President of Israel. H.G. Wells, author and socialist. Rebecca West, suffragist and writer. Ted Willis, dramatist. Leonard Woolf, political theorist, author, publisher and civil servant, husband of Virginia Woolf. Virginia Woolf, novelist and essayist, wife of Leonard Woolf. Alfred Zimmern, classical scholar, historian and political scientist. Karl Zuckmayer, German writer and playwright. Leonie Zuntz, German Hittitologist, refugee scholar at Somerville College, Oxford. Stefan Zweig, Austrian Jewish writer. A print run of the list produced around 20,000 booklets, but the warehouse in which they were stored was destroyed in a bombing raid, and only 2 originals are known to survive. One is in the Imperial War Museum in London, and one is noted in the Hoover Institution Library and Archives. On 14th of September 1945, The Guardian reported that the booklet had been discovered in the Berlin headquarters of the Reich Security Police, Reich Security Main Office. When told the previous day that they were on the Gestapo's list, Lady Astor, enemy of Germany, said,
"It is the complete answer to the terrible lie that the so-called Cliveden set was pro-fascist."
While Lord Vansittart said,
"The German blacklist might indicate to some of those who now find themselves on it that their views, divergent from mine, were somewhat misplaced. Perhaps it will be an eye-opener to them."
And the cartoonist David Lowe said,
"That is all right. I had them on my list too."
Noel Coward, who discovered that he was on the list, wrote later,
"If anyone had told me at the time that I was high up on the Nazi blacklist, I should have laughed and told him not to talk nonsense. In this, however, I should have been wrong for, as it ultimately transpired, I was."
Walter Schellenberg, the SS and the Einsatzgruppen never set foot on mainland Britain to start implementing the list. That they did not is down to the dogged heroism of Fighter Command, Royal Air Force, in the summer of 1940, and to 21 miles of the English Channel, which has kept Britain safe for centuries. Could such a situation reoccur? Would such a list be rewritten? Do not doubt it for 1 second.